Hey, welcome back, 360 Electricians. I still got my tag on from the brand new uniforms for the 360 Electrician channel and my brick and mortar. You guys are going to see a lot more of that. What do you think? We'll leave some comments later. But today, in this episode of this podcast, I was a guest on none other than the Modern Electrician podcast with Josh and Doug, one of my favorite electricians in the trade. We laughed so hard. I got to bring this to you on my channel. Go over there and tell Doug and Josh you really appreciated the podcast, you enjoyed it. Leave some comments down below on what you liked and didn't like. And guess what? This week, special guest coming up on the podcast, huge! So if you're not subscribed, subscribe. And guys, let's get into the podcast.
So Jeff,
yes.
First of all, we know you're a busy dude and you got a lot going on, so thanks for taking the time to just sit down and chat and share your insight with us. I've been following you online since you first reached out and we first made contact. And you're just
3 hours ago.
Right? That was just 3 hours.
3 hours ago, right?
You're full of really good energy, great insight, and lots of information and knowledge for people. So we had you on today because we really wanted to talk to you, obviously, about your platform, the things that you're working on, and how you're helping people in the electrical industry. And then we also wanted to talk with you about the concept. This was an idea that you had. This basically trading in your time card for your contractor card, right? Like the idea of what are the differences in your day-to-day when you do go from just being an electrician working for somebody to an electrical contractor working for yourself, because there are a lot of differences in the way that you think and the way that you approach every single day. So good stuff to talk about.
Sure.
Thanks for being on.
Yeah, no, dude, are you kidding? I think, truth be told, I reached out to you guys as soon as I found out about you guys, and I was like super excited about it. And partially, I always give credit to Dustin for getting into YouTube, and I can tell you that story. It's kind of funny. And really getting into the podcast is because you guys. So it's kind of funny how just that works. And that is exactly it. You know, you guys started this platform. You don't know who you're going to reach, what it's going to do in other people's lives. Just, again, Doug, some of the funny stuff that you do, it just, I was playing it to, I played it to my wife. Of course, she doesn't find anything electrical funny, right? But I was playing it to my other guys. Oh, yeah, Rudy, my guy he was taking me to the airport when I was flying back. And I'm like, hey, Rudy, do you know anything he says? Yeah. And, it's just, but again, you just never know who you're going to touch in what way. And it was pretty cool. Yeah. It was pretty cool. And that's how I'm here. I kind of just progressed. And then my platform. My platform was, what do I do? You guys got the lifestyle thing going. I mean, everybody's got their niche. I won't drop names, but I will. But, I'm not a union guy, so I'm not going to do a union thing. But, Stephen, Matt Electrician, who I talked to several times, has got that niche. And I went, well, my specialty is honestly the business of electrical, plain and simple. I'm not the greatest electrician. I'm not the greatest at code. But my brain thinks, business-like. I've had several businesses before I opened this one. And I said, let me get the niche because it wasn't there. And I've helped so many of my own team over 16 years in brick and mortar. I've got a dozen guys that left me and started their own business, and I'm still friends with every single one of them except one. I'm friends with every single one of them. They call me up for advice, and we always chat and we always talk. And so I thought this is the niche to get in. And so that's kind of how I started it. It's really the pitch is electricians that want to become electrical contractors and electrical contractors that want to level up. And that's it.
It's a great pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing you said in there that stood out to me, and I should let everyone know I'm getting over having lost my voice. So if you hear me sound a little bizarre today, that's it.
He went to a Beyonce concert.
Just screaming.
Love it.
So what you pointed out there is the fact that you are still friends with people who used to work for you.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier today and how rare that is in this industry.
It is.
And what makes it hard for people going out on their own to learn about this stuff is the fact that the resource you would have does not want to connect with you, does not want to help you in that way. In fact, I was telling a story to Doug earlier. Yeah, exactly. I used to work with a guy, talking to the boss. His name will remain unsaid, but a friend of mine said, they're talking 5-year goals. My friend says, well, I'd like to work for myself. And later on, the boss tells me, he's like, why would he say that to me? It's like, well, why wouldn't he say that to you? He's trying to be honest and transparent, right?
Right.
But that's just like, that shows the mentality that boss is like, you better not tell me you plan on working for yourself.
Right.
It's like, if I could legally fire you right now, I would.
Heaven forbid. Right. And that's how it is on YouTube, though, with us creators. I reach out to some creators and they're like, Like, you're my competition. What are you talking about? Everybody should be subscribed to every single one of our channels because they get something different.
Yeah.
Can I tell a story really quick? When I got back
You
into
should.
the trade, yeah, thank you.
Totally.
When I got back into the trade, I walked into the largest service contractor, electrical service contractor in Los Angeles. Anybody from LA is going to know who that is. They ran 15 years ago. They ran about 15 to 20 vans and about 40 or 50 employees, and they were everywhere. They had $100,000 a month marketing budget. I walked in and they said, "Well, why?" And I said, honestly, I go, I went to trade school. I graduated. I got my degree in electrical construction and maintenance. I go, I'm getting back into the trade, and I just want to learn it so I can go on my own. And the guy said, "You're hired." See the difference? This guy's a multimillionaire, super successful, because he said, "Fine, you're going to leave anyway, but I got a guy that's going to be motivated as hell to learn, to sell, to do all these things." And sure enough, within 3 months, I became his top sales guy. I sold over $1 million of in-home service. That's recessed lights, give me some under-cabinet lights, troubleshooting, changing out panels, but nothing like new construction where it's $100,000 per project. Now, we're in LA, so some of these Beverly Hill homes, I remember doing Brad Pitt's manager, and I can drop names all day long on stars' houses that I've been in and all that. But, I remember doing like a $40,000 landscape lighting job on Brad Pitt's manager's house, and imagine what the commission is on that, right? So it was...
see Brad. Got to see Brad coming up that walkway, man. You can't every second. You got to be able to see Brad.
Yeah, we had some pretty good. I've had some pretty good clients. I had Slash for a long time.
Is that right?
Charlie Wilson, who used to be the Gap Band, but now he's blown up in himself. He's a huge R&B. Does stuff with Justin, Pharrell, all these guys. So anyway, I'm dropping names.
The fun of working in the LA area, or if you're like talking to Stellman. Michael Stellman works in the New York area, and he's always in somebody's house or something. That's just how it is.
It's good stuff. Debbie Gibson.
Who?
Can I keep dropping? Debbie Gibson.
Deborah, thank you. Thank you.
It was funny. Anyway, I won't tell that story.
We're not talking Lost in Your Eyes, Debbie Gibson.
Right.
We're talking the
mature
electric
Deborah.
youth, Deborah Gibson. You didn't know I knew those deep cuts.
I didn't. And half the time, I'll be honest with you, I don't even know who they are. I'll be in front of their face, and then my guy will be, "Do you know who that was?" No,
it's probably for the best.
Yeah,
that's for the best. I think they probably appreciate that.
Is their check bounce? Is it just real? Is there cash printed from the U.S. government? Then that's all I care about. No, I'm just kidding. But anyway,
that's right. Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So I did the niche. I truly have a passion to help people. You can see it. I never stop. People say, "Dude, you're just like a freaking Energizer bunny." I got shingles. That's why. And shingles, if you stop talking and yapping, it starts itching. So I just never stop talking. I will constantly. It's true. It's a true story. Paul had a thorn in his side, and he asked God to take it away. I think he had shingles because it's a motivator.
God was like, "Did you have chickenpox?"
Right.
Then the shingles virus is already in your body.
There you go. We might as well give it to you.
Shingles.
Yes. So that's what I do, and I did. I got coaching, as I said, to start the YouTube channel, and my mentor, just gave me a bunch of knowledge that blew my mind, and then I was in the internet business before. I was actually in the tire business on the internet, and so it was kind of like second hat. I've always been a tech guy, and if people watching this have no idea, so I live in Montana right now. I'm south of Missoula, and I'm 1,200 miles away from my brick and mortar, and I'm not saying it to brag. I'm not saying it to prop myself up, because if you truly know me, I'm the humblest guy. I give 99% of the information for free. I got to monetize some of it. But we're blessed, man. 16 years. The marketing I learned really early from my other businesses, and the phone rings nonstop, and our clients are recession proof, and I teach that and I preach that. Like, when you're just starting out, what kind of clients should you go after? Go after the McDonald's. And they go, "What do you mean?" Well, McDonald's, if we're super busy right now because the economy was booming, especially a year ago, I don't have time. Here, let's show your audience what I'm eating. $1 burritos. Why? Because I'm slammed, so I don't have time, right? Well, I got to go through the drive-thru at McDonald's when times are good. And then when times are bad, I don't have any money in my pocket. I'm going through the dollar menu at McDonald's. So McDonald's is a recession-proof client. Well, you're not going to work for McDonald's, but you can work for the developers or the landowners, those people that build fast food restaurants. And those are the things that I really want to teach and preach, because people don't think about that, and I do.
Sure. And I think that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I think next year, I'm already done. I've already got all my jobs. I'm locked in for 2023. I just went to LA to get signed up for 2024 and maybe even 2025. And that's big projects and stuff like that. So that's what I really want to teach people. Because if I knew it when I first started out, that day when I clocked out of my punch card and clocked into my electrician card, those are the things you've got to start doing. You got to change that mindset. But I do want to talk way more about that because it's huge.
Well, so you got into the trades and you went to school and you came back in and you worked for this company. What was you clearly, since you've owned companies before, that was the move. Is like you're like, this is my method to get to owning my own company, right? So you knew you were going to do that. So when you first set out, you're like, okay, time for me to do my thing. What were the big, because you had done that before? What were the surprises in the construction industry that were different? Things you had to think about differently from being the person with the tools on to the person running the company? Yeah,
the first is get ready for a pay cut. Straight up. That was like the first thing I knew, because now and there's a whole method on how I did it, which I would love to share. But I think the first thing was the reality of I just had a perfect storm. And what do I mean by that is I had insurance, I had benefits, I had certain things. My wife, and that's why I got back in the trade, by the way, because I had sold my last company. I wasn't working. My father-in-law, I'm Armenian, she's Armenian. And he goes, you don't have a job, you can't marry my daughter. I'm like, job, come on, bro. I just sold my company. I'm living off the funds, and they was getting little. And I'm like, I'm running out of money. So I went back to the trade, and that's why I did it. And so when I jumped ship, the first thing, and so she had a job with LA Unified School District. So she became a teacher and full benefits, like the best benefits in the world. And so that lined up, because people watching here is like, sure, you had it easy. No, I mean, I had to wait. I had to strategically plan these things. So when she got the job, and it was literally just before we got married, so I knew I could jump ship, and I'd already worked for that company for about a year. So that was, these strategic planning things had to fit. While I was working for that other company making great money, I bought my first service van. While I was working for that company, I took a piece of my paycheck and I started building my inventory. While I was at the company, I never, ever did side jobs, and I never stole anything from them. Although once in a while, when we had material, like there's only 100 feet of wire left on a roll, this company would just throw it away. I'd be dumpster diving for that 100 feet of wire.
Sure.
Yeah. And so I got set up that way. So the biggest thing, of course, I knew it was going to be a drop in money, because this is a paycheck that's coming no matter what. And I knew it was going to be like reset button. And so that's probably the scariest thing, I think, for most people. And by the way, my coaching too, I have over 300 signed up. I wish I could get to all of them, but I do. My number one question is pricing, but my number two question is for those that are about to jump, they're like, how do I do it? And I'm like, oh man, let me tell you. So the biggest thing is that it's really the getting over the fear of, are you going to make a living? Are you going to make money? So I think that's the biggest point. And then I can tell you how I overcame that, but to answer that question.
Let's talk about the money part for a sec, because I feel like in our industry in particular, there is a level of if you're going to jump and you're going to do your own thing, I think we're in a lot better shape than somebody who's going to maybe start a retail business, maybe a brick and mortar where they're selling wares. You
have to buy large machinery or printing presses.
That's right, or lots of inventory and overhead. Now, we should also obviously state that there's a million ways to do it. Like your business model in Los Angeles is very different than Lumen Brothers here in Maryland, and that's the beautiful thing, because we all can come at it from a different. So number one is you are going to take a pay cut, but also in regards to money, Josh and I talk about this a lot. There's a mindset of employee mindset versus entrepreneurial mindset in regards to just thinking about money. And what I mean by that is when you are in the employee mindset, my wife's family is like this. They're very job, they're blue collar folk through and through. So their whole mentality is get a job. The hours you put in at that job equate to the amount of money that you get at your pay period. And that's how you think about money. So it's if you need more money, go get another job, work more hours at your job. But when you get into the entrepreneurial world, you do have to think about money a little differently. It's different how you attain it. It's different how you keep it. There's lots to it. This is just kind of an outside surface look at it. But wrapping your head around that difference in you end up getting, we're an S corp now, so we're on payroll. So our pay, we're back to section of getting, a steady paycheck.
Right.
But we own the company, and so profits are something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
How do you reinvest in your company? Where does that money go?
Yeah.
And just all of those things, taking the time, like when you start your own company, you're really kind of trying to effectively buy yourself more time, because you need that time to put back into the business. So, so time, when you're an employee, time equals money in respect to like a one-to-one. Time in equals one money. With the business, time is money in a different way, where it's like, if you can stack some money, you just bought yourself some time.
Because it's possible when you run the business, if you're working long hours to get jobs accomplished, you may make money that way, but then you lose the time it takes to make the financial decisions and the business growth decisions to expand the business. You're just going to be stuck working long hours to make money, and the growth potential gets lost.
Exactly what I preach, exactly what I teach in coaching. So you guys hit everything, because again, here we go. It's a real thing. We're in the same business. Like, this is the cool part about electrical. We speak the same language, but we're in different states. So everything is true. So what you said works. So when I jump ship, there's a couple things that if anybody out there is listening right now and you're ready to be Lehman Brothers, right? Lehman Brothers, it's a bank. See, you guys eventually will be Lehman Brothers and own the bank,
Let's
right?
hope. We'll
So if you're going to be Lehman Brothers, you're going to be 360 Electric. I say when you're ready to go, get all that stuff set up, right? Then what I call, and a guy on YouTube I think stole it from me, bro, because I'm serious. I've been preaching about this forever. You get your first whale job. And what's a whale job? It's exactly what you said. It's a job that buys you time. So you hit the switch. You've done my marketing at 360electrician.com, right? No, you got your marketing. You got everything set. You got everything done. And then you hit that switch and say, I'm going to go. And that's what I did. So I ended up getting a bare bones complete remodel that was about a $30,000 job back then. And I said, that's going to take care of me for the next 3 months. And once I got that, I said sayonara to my boss. I gave him my 2 weeks notice, and I left. And that job was exactly what I needed, because and I know, a job like that, you're going to be there 4 days straight, then you're not going because the plumber is going to be there and this is going to be there, and you've got all these gaps. And the point of that being is, when you fill those gaps in, because that 3-month job is paying your bills, you got confidence, you're set, your mortgage is paid, your bills are paid. Now every time you hustle and you get those in-between jobs, it really is almost like pure profit. And that's what just took me to the next level. And I never, ever look back, and praise God, I've never been in the red. I'm going to say the C word, because then we'll get banned from YouTube. But during that time was the most successful time I had, because again, we were up, we were running, we were we did everything right, and we were prepared for it. So that's a huge one, is get your whale job or get prepared for that. And then, it's not. So I coach people. And so when I coach, the first thing they ask is, I don't know if I'm bidding right or what's my pricing. So that would be Josh right there. Right. All of a sudden you're going from $35 an hour, and then you're charging $75 an hour, and you're thinking, dude, I'm going to be rich. But
that's side job thinking.
Exactly. That's electrical handyman thinking is what I call it. And I get some beef for it, but it's true. And then I sit down. So 60% of the people, if I did this with 100 people, and I've probably done it with 100 of my coaching clients, 60% are charging too low, whether that's $1 low or like sometimes 25, 30 low.
I would have said higher.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's about 60. 20 are charging exactly. And you know why the 20 are kind of charging right? Well, my question is, and I got only one coaching client that was pissed off at me, and I'll tell you why. And I go, so I'll ask them. I don't ask them how much they charge, because I want the coaching to be real. I want them to do the numbers, and I do everything based on their numbers, where they're at. So Doug, when you said Maryland's different than LA, sure, I got to base it on, what do you pay a journeyman? What are your taxes? Are you in a blue state or a red state? I don't get political, but it's the truth, right? And so we go through the numbers, and I teach them a super 5-step method, not an Excel sheet, not anything. It's plain and simple. You need to make money for every quote-unquote billable hour, right? And so I find 60% are charging way too low, because, again, when they come to me, they're like, dude, I got a guy I coached just the other day. It's his first year, and he had $88,000 in sales. I think that's freaking great. He's in the Midwest somewhere. It's not like Los Angeles where, that might be one project. And he goes, but I pretty much made nothing. And we did our coaching, and he was off by like $20 an hour. Well, you do the math. You lost it. And so
it's all his profit.
Yeah, exactly. And then 20% are in the zone, and 20% are charging more than once we get the minimum. But the difference is, out of that 20%, only 1%, not even 1%, know why they're still charging that. And their answer is, well, that's the going rate, or that's what my competition charges. And I said, okay, well, are you landing, how many jobs are you landing out of 10? And they say, well, only 4. Right, because you know why? They have no overhead, no truck payment yet, no nothing, but they're charging what that guy charges. That guy is like me maybe, and he has a warehouse, and he has this, and he has that. No, you should be charging based on you. Don't worry about the competition. You got to only worry about yourself. And so, you know, I'll go through all of that, man. But it's just, how do you find that out? How you go to the wholesale house and you ask that other guy, hey, bud, how do you price? What are you going to get? The big middle finger, right? That's what these platforms. That's why
we've been lucky. We have somebody we can talk to, but
but it's true, and I think you do see it. Like we have, you know, there's examples of all. Every time you run into somebody who's gone out on their own, and we have, I mean, we all know tons of teams. Everybody's got a different approach, and it tends to be what you've experienced. It tends to be a replica of what you've gone through. So a lot of us will start and be like, well, this is what we did at the company I worked for, the companies I worked for, and this is how they ran it.
If you did residential work, you become a residential electrician, kind of like that?
Yeah, kind of, but just like number-wise, like saying, well, this is what we charge an hour. Well, you know, and that was how we started, too. It was just like, where should we be?
Sure.
What does that look like? And sometimes when you're getting started, it's good to just – that's not a bad way to start, because sometimes you don't know. And then it took a little while for us to get numbers to look back on to know where we wanted to land, so that we could go backwards and say, well, these are what our numbers need to be in order to land where we want to. Let me keep going there. Once you know for sure what your numbers look like, it's a lot easier to tell somebody what your numbers are, because even if somebody doesn't like them, or they're like, that's out of my range, you can just say, okay, that's okay. You don't, you know, instead of being like, well, let me sell this in a way that only works for you, and not for us. It doesn't work that way. It's like, it's got to be a good deal both ways.
Sure, and the best thing ever, and I have a couple of really, I think, you know, that one I kind of like. I have these sayings that I should probably market. One of them is like, be the lead, don't pay for leads, and we talk about that. But the other one is, and I put it on a short, you know, when your employees drive nicer cars than you do, right? It's because you're giving a discount, your money away as a discount, or because the customer said, well, you're too expensive, can you do better? And you said, yes, you gave your money away. Because when I do my pricing, you can't pay your guys less. You can't pay Uncle Sam less. You can't pay, you know, the only place you can take money is from, remember, you guys own Lumen Brothers, so you can take it from your business, or you can take it from your paycheck because you're the owner, right? And so it's this shift into a wow moment, which most of the people I coach go, wow. Like, I never thought about that. You know, I went in and I said, my price is $400. And the guy said, well, I'll give you $300 if you do it. And you go, yeah. And then I show them, where'd you get the $100 from? And they go, you're right. No wonder my guys got new cars and I couldn't afford it this year. And so that's a big problem, I think. And again, I do simple math. I used to call it stupid math, but I guess I'm not stupid. I did that to humble myself. I go, look, I want to teach you stupid math because this is the way I do it. So I changed it to simple math. You know, I don't go to Excel worksheets. I don't do anything. If you guys see anything on my channel, God willing, I mean, it's not penned in, but it's almost guaranteed. We signed up some pretty nice projects. I mean, really nice. And they go, well, how'd you bid it? How'd you bid it? I bid it the same way as I'm going to bid 4 recessed lights in your residential versus these jobs that are 750, 800,000, just the electrical. I bid it actually the same exact way. I don't have a bidding team. I don't send the numbers out to some guy. I do my own takeoffs per se with my team, because if I did takeoffs and it came back, what's the first thing we do? Well, let's make sure it's correct. Right. Well, then why bother? Right. You know? So it's pretty crazy, but it's all a learning curve, man. And it's tough. It's tough. I mean, we couldn't do it on one video. We couldn't do it on 10 videos. It's just that learning process, like you said. And clicking on all these YouTube channels, and instead of driving and listening to crap, you know, I used to listen to a lot of garbage. But when I worked for that other company, I drove at least 2 to 3 hours a day going call to call because I was a sales call. You know, the only thing you would ever hear in my van is sales CDs, business CDs, reusing the right words. I tell it all the time. It's not me.
What are these CDs you're speaking of?
CDs, right. MP3s. Yeah, CDs, man. It's crazy. Okay, and again, like guys, like hey, if you sign my contract, we can get started. Versus, hey, can you okay my paperwork and we can get started? All these little psychological things. When you said it, when you go from that time card into the business, you got to learn these things, because without selling anything, you're going nowhere. You could be the greatest electrician. And I said that too. We're all great at the trade, but we suck at business, and it's the business you better be good at, not the trade. Because look, am I great at the trade? You don't want to see my panel in my own house that I did. Spaghetti, anybody for dinner? It's my own house. Do I care? I do, but I'm an ADD guy. I just want to get it done because I got 15 things.
ADD panel.
Yeah, but if I couldn't sell that panel, who cares what it looks like? You know what I mean? So I'm better. I can always find someone better than me to do the work, quote unquote. But you can't find someone to run your company. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Which is why you have Josh, Doug.
That's right. That's right. No, I mean it's fair to say that all of these models are functional. Like, people listening might be thinking like, well, I want to start a company too, and this is good information to listen to because I can kind of understand a little bit more of what to expect. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of ways to do it. You could go out there and take out a loan and invest and start with the big company. Mm-hmm. Whatever the case, there's lots of ways to do it. Josh and I did it the opposite, where we just bankrolled it and started small with one truck and just started picking up jobs. So there's lots of ways to go about it. I think the most important thing is that you're just ready for it, because it's like there's so many of us in an instance where we're working for somebody where we're like, I could do this better than this guy. Like this, they don't. This place sucks. Like it's disorganized and their communication's terrible. They don't care about. How many of you out there listening right now feel this? Are like, nah, there isn't. They don't do this. We don't do that. We don't have this. I see these other people doing. So you think I'm going to go do this myself? Mm-hmm. And I would say that if you're already running jobs for the company you work for, that's really, really, really important, because some of the things that are the hardest when you turn in that time card and pick up your contractor card is when you're the one who's making all the decisions. It gets real hairy sometimes. It definitely, it's all on you. Pass or fail, win or lose. It's sometimes
that's that fear part. Yeah, it's the fear part. Yeah.
People need to, I think, best put, if you're considering going out on your own, people need to have a little humility. Be ambitious. Mm-hmm. But be humble, because the reality is, look, you might get to a position where you go, oh, that's why my boss did that. Yeah, right. Oh, that's why I didn't get it on the first place. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's
be careful what you wish for. You're going to be dishing it out. That's why I don't preach side jobs, because eventually someone's going to do to you, and think about how that's going to feel. That's just my motivation.
Work in the field, and they hand their company's invoice to a customer, and they go, "Wow, that's how much this company's making right now." Right. It's like you don't know numbers. Yeah. Right. And so it doesn't mean you can't do it, especially when you get someone like Jeff to teach you. But the reality is, it's like, just be open to the fact that you're going to learn how much you don't understand right now. And you get to pick out the T-shirts, and you get to make the culture and stuff. But be humble to the fact that there might be a reason why the company you work for does it the way you're doing, or they're doing it. Mm-hmm. And you may find yourself doing what you always said, like, what your parents do that you always say you won't do. You're like, oh, that's why they do that.
How much does commercial auto insurance cost? How much does general liability insurance cost? How much is workman's comp? How much is my permit fees? How much is my state tax? How much? It goes on and on. I did that one video. I don't know if you saw it. It's a little funny one. Being a contractor is so easy. Yeah, my boss makes a buttload of money. Did you guys see that one?
Right. Yes, I saw that one.
Yeah. Get ready, bro. Put on your seatbelt. It's not. But listen, at the end of the day, do you guys regret it?
Oh
no,
exactly. That's the funny part.
Yeah,
I think people need to be open to it, because so we have a couple guys that we run into in the supply house. They started at we always talk about them. They're great guys, but they started at a similar time to us, and they're doing it completely differently. And they're getting completely different results, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But also, I think when you offer some ideas to them, they're completely closed off to it. Closed off. Yeah. They're like, I would never do that. I don't mess with Facebook, or we don't really know computers. We're not doing a website. Right. And it's like, well, if you're not going to be open to it, those are the crops that you're going to reap.
Absolutely. I got a big middle finger from someone here in Montana. So I didn't tell you on the flip side. So I've got my company in LA. I've got of course, the YouTube I consider a separate company now. And I've been kicking back and forth whether I'm going to open in Montana. So I already got my master's here, and my unlimited is like literally days away. And, and so what I did was I reached out, Josh, exactly what you said. I said, hey guys, I don't want to open up here and do contracting. I really don't. Why should I? I've got a good gig here. I got a great gig in California. But you know what? You know me, that shingles keeps itching and I got to keep going, right? And so I said, let me reach out to some of the biggest guys locally and offer my services to them, help them train. I'll sign your non-disclosure, non-compete. I got no problem with that. And blah, blah, blah. And half the people were open to it and half the people gave me this.
Yeah.
And so wrong thing to do, because now you really got me motivated, right? Because, there's so many things that as a business person, I automatically think of like, dude, your money is tied to Montana. Mine isn't. I open tomorrow. I'll do everything for cost for the first year. Have a nice day. Like, you know what? Like, you better be careful. You got to think. You got to go with humility. Anybody and everybody that reaches out to me, I thank them. I say, awesome. It's not for me right now, but I want to keep that in the back burner. I don't be like, dude, get out of here. Don't waste my time, because I don't know if that guy knows this guy or quote unquote, like I said, and I'm going to go heavy commercial here. And there's only a few commercial guys in, and one of them gave me the finger. I'm like, who do you think I'm going to be competing against? Yeah. My money's not tied here, right? So I can do it for anything. And anyway, so it's a long story, but it goes with humility, and I preach it all the time. Humble yourself. Here's another reason. Remember, all of us, once we're electrical contractors, we only make money for one way. Unless you're doing YouTube like us and you're selling shirts at the swap meet, you're trading electrical work for money. But I say you're not trading the electrical work. You're trading a value, a perceived value for money. So when you level up the perceived value you can give to people, then you're going to level up the money you're going to receive from them. And you just have to be this much better at doing that than your competition. Not cheaper, because maybe value is cheaper to them. But most of the time and I say it all the time where I say, just explain to the customer how you're going to install something, because the last guy probably didn't. And you say it as a sales pitch. So, hey, guys, you know what? What I want to do is I want to go up the wall and then come down behind your kitchen cabinet, because if I do and I have to open wall, you don't have to pay a painter to patch that. It'll save you some money. Well, you're already going to do that. But now what you told him was these key words of, hey, it's cleaner. You don't have to pay more money, and I think it would look nicer. But you see that value? And now, guess what? When I throw that number that happens to be $300 more than my competitor, they might say, yeah, he's a little bit more, but boy, this guy's really on top of it. I always say, throw in that USB plug charger next to the nightstand when you're redevicing. Do those little things, give value. And these are things that when you're an electrician, my guys too, God bless them, I love them to death, but they're not in there going, well, what else can I sell? Well, wait a minute, the smoke detectors look yellower than my teeth. It's been there for 16 years. Why didn't you sell a smoke detector for $79? I would have gave you $25 commission just on that one smoke detector. And you can say it as much as you want, but when you're punching your time clock in, you're not thinking about those things. But guess what? Start thinking about it. I tell people, approach their bosses. Say, boss, I want to make more money. If I start selling extra work, will you give me a piece of the action? I would say, hell yeah, I'll give you the piece of the action. Right? And so it is. When you get out of that time clock, you're going to start thinking about that. So start doing it now, so that when you do jump ship, you got all that mindset in.
I agree. I liken it to, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but going out on your own in business is a lot like when you have a kid, and Josh kind of touched on it, right? It's like all these little things that, like you were saying, when people are like, oh, my boss is stupid and this company's a bunch of dummies and blah, blah, blah. That's what kids say about their parents. Your parents are dumb. They don't know how to do it.
That's a good point.
They're bad parents. Never, And then you mess around and have a kid, and you are like, I don't know how to do this. And before too long, who you calling? Your dad and your mom and the jokers who you thought were dummies. Because you're like, oh man, you know what? Well, the first time I had a kid, I realized how hard I was on my dad. That was the first thing that hit me. It was like, oh wow, I'm the dummy. Like I took for granted the fact that he was just a dude doing the best he could with the limited knowledge he, And that's kind of the point is like and you just said it, Jeff. It's like when you're in this house and you could upsell, you're not thinking about that because you're thinking, and I don't mean this in a negative way. I'm not saying that your kids like that, but that mindset would be like how your kid would think about like, I'm not cleaning that up. Those aren't my dishes. And it's like, if it's your house though, it's you don't want people coming in your house and seeing your house a mess. And there's all these other things that,
But that's what it is. You just said it. It's mindset.
Yeah.
It's all mindset.
Yeah.
You know, so where are you at with your mindset in terms of going into business for yourself?
Yeah.
Just, are you still employee mindset, but you want to make more money?
Right.
It's like that might not work out.
Right.
More money is possible, but the mindset has to change.
And are you the kind of person that while you're working for somebody, you assume responsibility for your mistakes and you give credit to your team when things go well, right? It's like, are you a good leader in the first place? Because no matter what you say, if you're the type of person who likes to lean on blaming everything around you for not living up to your expectations, you're going to find out really soon after going into business for yourself, your expectations are to blame. And the only thing that can correct them is your accountability to your actions to change that. And that's especially important to the new generation. Sorry, guys. I mean, this is an old fogey now, and you guys are getting older in age because you got kids. I mean, if you're out there and most of my subscribers that are electrical contractors are in their 20s and 30s. They just started out because obviously they're seeking the information. And, of course, they're more techie. They're going to find me versus somebody that's 50 that just started, right? Right.
You guys, the new gen out there, man, nothing's for free. I mean, you got to hustle, you got to do it, and you got to not take it for granted. There's no more blame game. There's no more. When Uncle Sam says, give me my money, that's when reality really kicks you in the ass because that's when life gets serious, right? So far, you've been living under your parents' roof, your other company's roof, right? But as soon as you're under your own roof and you're paying that bill and they shut your electricity off, you're gonna know it. You're gonna grow up really fast.
I agree, and I think there's a lot of things just like that analogy with parents to kids. I think when you're an employee, there's so much that's outside of your control that you just kind of maybe end up shifting blame to that because it's like, well, that's outside of my control. So there's like nothing I can do about it. Well, you'll realize that too when you start a company, there's still things outside your control. And it's really stressful because if you don't manage the expectations around the things that are outside your control, somebody might just look at you like you did something wrong or that you messed up, and that's your reputation. And so you'll learn. Like Josh said earlier, you really got to be humble and open to learning because if you're going out on your own, you just basically invited the universe to come kick you in the balls because it's going to happen. It's the only way you're going to learn is to get in and learn.
And the universe is so ready to kick.
Legs already cocked back, ready to go.
That's why I just got rid of mine. I don't have any anymore.
I need to do the same. It's just like I think that it's the mindset that's really the big game changer. I think I think you got to be ready to like grow a lot if you're going to do that sort of thing. You got to be like, if you don't read books or listen to books on tape, if you're not listening to podcasts from people who are trying to offer you and if you're working for somebody and you're driving around in the truck and you're getting paid, be doing that.
Hell yeah. They're paying for your future success, right?
If you mean it, if you really think you want to go out, I mean, obviously, if you're listening to this already, you're way ahead of the curve, and that makes perfect sense. But you gotta
you never know when you're going to jump ship too. Remember, a lot of people might start this and go, "Oh, well, I'm never going to go on my own." You never know that either.
That's true.
I got my master's, and I was sitting tight at my company, and I knew it was in the back of my mind. I knew it was an option. Doug and I had kicked it around before, but then once the moment struck that we wanted to do it, it was like we got to do it. And so I was ready to go. I have to be ready
That's
to
awesome.
go because what do they say? Luck favors the prepared mind.
Yeah.
It's like so.
Very cool.
Gotta be ready for it.
Yeah, and there's so much to learn. Like I said, I mean, there's so many avenues to talk about, but I just appreciate you guys having this channel. As we're winding down, I think, right? No, I'm just kidding. But as I say it over and over again, I'm a big content
whore.
Yeah, I'm also an information whore. I just give it away, right? I love to hear things, talk about things, and just network. Don't think that you're in your area. Everyone's your competition. I don't believe in competition.
No.
I don't believe it. I believe that, competition levels you up. It sharpens your sword, right? Iron sharpens iron. Getting in and just learning whatever you can. Yeah. Check other people's advertising. Check Google listings. See how they're up there. Find out how they did it, why they did it, But, again, I think you're right, Doug. If you're listening to this podcast, you're already ahead of the game because there's those people that don't. There's people that don't even, they just opened and they didn't do the back homework. And those are the ones that aren't going to survive. And I know a lot of people that didn't survive.
Yeah, and it happens. And so, in particular, the duo that the guys Josh was referencing, there's so many pitfalls that you can run into when you start a company. There's so many. There's so many opportunities where you could fall. And so I think it's important to just put the things in place that are within your control so that the things that could take you out are less, or you know what I'm saying? For example, even if you're not techie, have a website.
Of course.
Have a landing page. It's not rocket science anymore. You know what I mean? Have a
and
place.
it's cheap. It's cheap to have someone else do it nowadays.
Yeah,
Well, and that's the thing. It's as a business owner, what you have to get good at is finding people who are good at things and utilizing that.
That's
right?
right.
So
Exactly.
it's even if it's cheap to pay somebody, but also you probably have a niece or a nephew or a cousin that can do it for $100 in a case of beer. It's whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Your job as a business owner is to now find, if you can't do it, find somebody who can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I will say this, though, based on that, look, I partnered up with Joe Burnich over at Big West Marketing. I mean, he is top notch. He's not the cheapest. He's not the most expensive. And a lot of people that I come because they get free coaching with him once they do anything with me, a lot of them do say, I can't afford that. And then I always ask the question, do you have anybody exactly like that? And they go, no. And then I find out they're hired somebody to do it on Wix. And I go, I get it. But you're not understanding that is your trajectory to the moon. The moon is where you want your company to be, as in your brain, as much as you can 5-6 years ago. Well, if you're doing stuff here because I'm not doing it right, or you're off by a millimeter. By the time you get to that 5th year, you're off by hundreds of miles. Well, your hundreds of miles are hundreds of dollars per se. And so sometimes you do have to sit back and say, hey, do I spend money on coaching? Do I spend money on a marketing course? Do I spend money going to trade school? Do I spend money? You got to really think what's best for you. Again, I would say you're right, based on Maryland, based on Arizona, based on LA. What's the best thing for you? But do it. Bootstrap it. Do it while you're still working for your other company. Don't cheat them. Don't steal from them. But you got a job. You're stable. Right now is that time to start building it up. And everyone's also asking, the economy is going to crash. I hear the economy is going to crash. Is it a good time to go on your own? It's actually one of the best times to go on your own. Because guess what? If you do it right and you get into the right client, rich people buy when you and I are thinking the economy's crappy, because they see opportunity. And if you're lined up with those people, you're lined up. What did I just say about getting locked up for 2024, 2025? I got the call from one of my developers that go, hey, Jeff, we got 6 buildings. 2 of them are 30-unit apartments with mixed use. 3 houses in Malibu, a 10 condominium complex out in Covina, right? Why? Because
a lot of work.
Lumber's crashed, everything, of course, except copper, like I predicted it was. I had to eat sand on that one. But he's ready to go. And these projects have been sitting for 7-8 months. And I'm going, am I going to get what's going? Finally, I got that phone call because things are crashing. So everybody else, new electricians, are going to panic. They're going to freak out because all of a sudden no homeowner is going to call them anymore because homes aren't selling because of interest rates. But did you line up? Did you watch YouTube videos? Did you get coaching? Did you spend the money in the right places to the right people so that trajectory is correct? People that have done it for years and years and years. So yeah, it's just so much to talk about. But I said,
you've also, I think it's important too to know what kind of marketing is right for you. So with Lumen Brothers, we're small, and we want to stay small. We want our what we are doing is a very client direct, relationship based, value added service. And so when we were first starting, it was kind of like, well, what does marketing look like for us, right? And so we reached out to a local team that is co-owned by a friend of mine, and sat down with him and his partner, and just trying to talk to them about like, well, what does this look like? What, and their questions were like, so if we could get you to the top of the Google search for X, Y, whatever phrases, would that be good for you? And I was like, no, that would be devastating for us. If we were at the top of the Google searches,
20 calls a day.
It would do nothing but piss people off because
we'd
people
say no.
We'd have to say no to everybody.
Smart.
And it would just make everybody mad.
People don't realize that 9 out of 10 probably would have said, "Hell yeah," and they do. They do.
But then you're growing to keep up. And look, there's nothing wrong with that if that's your move. But then you're growing fast to keep up with that demand.
Yes.
We have a rule here: growth has to be the solution, not just something that happens.
Yeah,
unless so, if you want to be growing, grow.
Yeah.
But if you step back and you look at your model and you're only doing it because it's what someone tells you you're supposed to.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. Right.
Stop.
Are you?
Absolutely.
Is the growth stressing you out? Yeah. Is it putting you in a world that you don't? Or because Jeff, you talked a little earlier about the zeros, having the zero with your family, that extra zero at the end of the one. There's a couple ways to get there, like with being your own boss and running your own company. There's a number of ways to get there, and one of them is what you're doing, which is you're establishing this world where you're creating work for people and you're managing it. And then another way is to do what we do, which is like because we're small, the flexibility is built into that size.
Yeah.
But you've just got to. I think you got to be aware of that kind of stuff because you can see dollar signs. If you're looking at a job or you're looking at an opportunity, you're like, oh, dollar signs.
Yep.
But do you have are you sized right for that project? Do you have could you get through that project? Because if you're not, you're going to be paying money. You're going to be eating that shit.
If we took on the 30 apartment scenario,
we'd lose our ass.
It would be trouble.
Yeah.
But see, this is the funny part. So when I get some coaching clients that come in and go, I coach because I want to know how I can get into commercial. I want to do commercial. And I go, great. So how many man team? Oh, I just started. Well, you have a van or truck? I have a Honda Civic. Why are you going for hey, how about let's just start changing some light bulbs for grandma and build up. I'm not knocking you. God bless you, but how are you going to finance that?
Yeah.
Do you know that if you get a $40,000 commercial job, depending on where you're at, in LA, California, 10% or $1,000, whichever is less, as a deposit. So if I have a $40,000 job, I can only get a $1,000 deposit. You know what that would do to Montana? They want like 50%. I'm used to 10%, so I can do it. And so I go, how are you going to finance that? How does that look for you? You might not get a check for 40, 60 days from a big corporation. You hit it exactly on the head. And there's nothing wrong with exactly what you guys are doing, because now that, first of all, you guys are younger than I am, and I'm not saying that I couldn't do the work, but you're in that point of your life where you guys are building your brand. And that is almost bigger in an area. I'm sure. I don't know what's your zip code, but how many people are in your town area? Couple, not that much, right? 50,000, 100,000.
We looked it up recently.
100,000-ish.
It's more than you think. It's booming right now.
And we're just growing.
I call that. And we didn't even talk about that. But all these electricians are in the unicorn stage. I'm so busy. I don't need coaching. I don't need advertising. I'm busy. What happens tomorrow when the banks crash and nobody's calling you because you didn't prepare in the good times? But anyway, exactly. But you know what? You guys are in, and I'm 100,000 here in Montana. Exactly the same. And what you guys are doing is exactly what I would do here versus something totally different in LA. Because I don't care about, like, I got to get every commercial job here. Nope. Here is the slow go, and then you just start getting that market share one job at a time, as long as you priced it right, because we talked about that. Imagine, if you don't price it right, and because now you did 20 jobs, but you realized, oh, I didn't make any money off those 20 jobs.
Right.
Well, we were talking about that earlier today. It's like pricing is more valuable than a lot of guys mix up. They conflate the concept of being busy with being profitable.
Yes.
And it's like working a 10-hour day does not mean you're making money.
Yes.
And working 60-hour weeks does not mean you're making money, but they think it does.
Sure.
And it's like, if you're keeping guys busy, that is great. But the reality is, I will take a profitable 4-hour job over a loss for a 10-hour job.
Absolutely.
All day long. And that's what
and we also told you who loses. Your employee doesn't. They're getting their hourly. You or your company is going to lose. 100% true.
So we have been so focused on dialing in our pricing, who our customers are, and what we're doing. And we are taking shorter days for better profit over just being busy all day long.
Because you're also not afraid to say thanks, but no thanks, right?
Yeah.
That's and it's proved to be, and let's say that to the people who are going out on their own. Saying no has proved to be one of the hardest things. For
Exactly.
working
That
for
was my
ourselves.
problem for
Customers,
the first 4 years.
Contractors.
Yes.
It's like, I mean, you get people that'll call you up, want you to come out, and you'll say that, oh, we're busy for 3 months, and they'll argue with you. And it's like, there's other guys you can call.
Right.
But saying no seems to be the most common theme with what we have to do.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It is, and it's like you have to say no to some extent. I mean,
if you don't, then you are right back into a position where you're working for somebody who's not you. It's like,
that was me. The first 3 or 4 years, no was not in my vocabulary, and I was like, dude. And then you find out that those are the crappy jobs, that you're like, oh man. And then the customers that just don't want to pay what you're worth. I never lose a customer. I still give them a coupon or a cash discount. And I still will try to save it, but I'll never go down to sometimes the prices that they want. And then I know the back end. Of course, I teach why clients say no, and I have the rebuttals for them. And so that's ingrained, and I try to ingrain it for my guys. And then we charge. We didn't even get into pricing that much, but we charge flat rate, daily labor rate, period. And then we break that down into 1 hour job, 2 hour job, 3 hour job. But then once you get to the 4, it's half a daily labor rate. And if you sell it for that, at a minimum, you're 100% golden. You're making the money. Your goal in life should be to love on that customer, give them as much value as you can get them. So
that's
amazing
right.
stuff.
I mean,
man.
it's not. I think just back to the first point, and the reason that I really wanted to talk about that, like that, wrapping your mind around money differently. A lot of us are blue collar folk. I mean, we all work in the trades, and everybody's got a different background. But a lot of us are like blue collar, meaning like we grew up around people who work for a living, and like money is seen as a thing. It's like you work and then you get money, and so like wrapping your head around some of the pricing, or the way that you price. Like for example, charging hourly versus per item, per unit, right? For example, like say you're going to do a handful of items in a client's house. You're going to change some lights. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. Well, you could just go, well, let's do it hourly and say it takes you 3 hours to do all that stuff. Well, you just made 3 hours worth of work for 3 hours worth of work.
And nobody's going to be happy.
Right. Or you price it per job. Per task. So replacing a GFCI receptacle in this scenario is this much money. Replacing a fixture in this scenario is this. Those are our prices, and the client can a la carte it, they can prioritize it, or they can just go all in and go with it. But that, they see the value in that. They see us because we're breaking it down. We're giving them prices up front. We're walking them through the steps up front. And we make the money we need to make on the back end so that our company is profitable, and so that we're not. The worst thing in the world is busting your ass and knowing the whole time you're not going to make money.
Yeah.
It's like, what did I do to myself? And it's
those ones that the customers become the nastiest too. Yeah. You're like, damn, I knew I wasn't going to make money, and sure enough, this one became the pain in my rear.
Yeah,
the one
but so now you're switching from employee to owning the company. You're going out on your own. Now another hat you're having to wear is, and this is for a lot of people who still work in an old company, but the reality is you're now working, it's people skills. You are now interacting with other humans. And so flat rate pricing versus hourly, all you're doing there is managing expectations. So a person is way happier to give you $400 when they know that's what they're going to pay you versus $400 when you hand them a bill.
Absolutely.
And that's simple psychology.
Absolutely.
But so it's all communication. So if you're going to go out on your own, you better be ready to communicate well.
And that's key too. If you charge hourly and you just went on your own, how are you going to work on your business while you're there at that customer's house? Well, you're going to have to take text messages. You're going to have to do that. Customer's eyeballing you, saying, "What the hell?"
Like a hawk.
Thank you. And so guess what? Now you lost that repeat business 100%. I broke my golden rule, and I did something here at my house, and I paid hourly. It cost me about $8,000 more, literally. And I'm like, how can I do it? So you're allowed to make mistakes, but freaking learn from them the first time. Don't make them. Don't charge hourly in 2023 is my number one, because they don't know what things cost. When I say your total remodel, your total investment is going to be $3,890, they knew an electrician's not cheap. If they suck that up, great, and your margins are greater and everything. And now when you get a call, they're not eyeballing you hawking. All they know is, and I tell them, if it's a day and a half, I say a couple of days. If they say, well, how long is it going to take? Well, we're going to try to get it done as fast as possible. I don't loophole us ever into a time or an hourly rate ever. Because, again, as a new company, when you're on your way to that job, oh, crap, I got this great service call. They're not going to hound you as long as you still finish exactly what you said, Josh. They know what they're going to get. They know what they're going to pay. Give them a little extra value at the end if you did mess up. And say, hey, listen, while I was doing it, it was a no-brainer. I had to throw this in for you. Or I changed out 2 smoke detectors. Big deal. Now, you're golden. And then, Doug, I told you about this. Yeah. You know, I rip up $100 bills. Remember we talked about that?
You did say that, yeah.
So, Josh, you never heard this from me. So, hey, guys, Doug and Josh, I appreciate you guys. You're great customers. Can I give you and your friends and family a free gift that I know will give them some value? And you go, yeah. And so I take out $400 out of my pocket. I don't literally do it. You're going to have to spend some money on my channel, right, in my marketing course, because I'll teach you how to do it. But I'll take out $400 bills, and I'll write your mom's name, your friend's name, and your co-worker. I'll rip the $400 bills in half. I'll give you half and say, give that to your mom, your brother, your sister. If they call me, I don't care if it's a service call or full-blown work, I'll put the half together, and they can use it towards that work. Have a nice day. I leave. Because everybody says, and I do too, they love me. They're going to recommend me. I got 10 clients from this client. Shoot, I polished their shoes, and I took out their trash. They love me. But then when you leave and you don't rip up $100 bills, and then all of a sudden your kid fell at school and they're rushed to the hospital, you drop everything, you go, you're there, thank God your kid's okay, but you come back at midnight with your kid, you sit down. Dude, Jeff, the 360 electrician, is not in my brain anymore. It might be when I have a conversation 6 months ago. But if I ripped up $100 bills and I look down on the counter, guess what? I'm back in the game. And so I tell everybody, make one client into 3 into 9, 9 to 27. After that, I'm not that smart to do the math, but trust me, it'll happen. And within 1 year, you're taking your business you started today to the next level within 1 year. Because if you saw 30 clients and you ripped up $100 bills, that 30 is not going to be 90 by the end of that year, but it'll get you 10 more clients and 10 more hundreds. And then, they're going to leave that $100 bill on their refrigerator, right? They're going to use it sometime. Whereas your competition didn't do anything. They just said, thanks very much, and they left. These are such important concepts. And that's my last pitch, right? There you go.
Right on.
That's my marketing course.
That's beautiful. Well, where can people, so everybody who wants to learn from you, follow you, tell them where they can go, how they can find you, and where is the most valuable information, bang for the buck?
Got it. Well, the free information is obviously on YouTube. You just, in the search menu, here's the funny part, guys, and this is crazy. So if you just go to YouTube and you've never looked me up, just type in electrical contractor, because that's my niche. So I'll show up. But obviously, if you put the @ symbol, the 360 electrician, my website's www.the360electrician.com. That's where I sell all my courses. I have my email list. I send out a bunch of free information all the time, quarterly, this and that. Those are the ways to find it. Now, for anybody listening, can I give your viewers a coupon for the rest of the month?
Sure.
Any of my courses, that's my ultimate marketing for electrical contractors, the ultimate paperwork for electrical contractors. Unfortunately, I don't have a discount on coaching, and soon to be the ultimate paperwork for solar contractors. If you type in TAKE 50, TAKE, all capital 50, you're going to get $50 off any of those courses. Beautiful. So just a little bonus for everybody there.
That's wonderful.
And
man.
Leave some feedback. I mean, they just need to leave feedback. My channel is driven on feedback. If I get feedback that say, Jeff, I got feedback from a very good friend who said, Jeff, can you please make a course on bidding? You've never done that. And I realized coaching, my number one question is bidding. And I said, why do I keep, verbal diarrheaing it and spending my time? So I'm going to put that into a course format, and we'll put it up there. Same with you guys. I'm sure you listen to your guys, your subscribers. Hey, that was great. Can you talk more about this? Talk more about that? Sure. So I need the feedback. Of course, it helps the algorithm, but that's not what it's for. It's to get the information you want. Don't be afraid to ask. Every YouTuber, every content creator wants you, the listener, to tell us what you need. And if we can offer it or we can supply it, then that's going to be our next video. And it's just a good way to go. Because again, Josh, like you said it, we're afraid. We don't ask the competition in the wholesale house for anything. Ask away. That's what YouTube is for. That's what podcasts are for.
Yep. Well, thanks so much, Jeff. Thanks for all your time, all your expertise. You got awesome energy, and we just,
I appreciate it, man.
We're cheering for you and want the best for you.
Yep.
Likewise. And if you're listening to this on my channel and you have not subscribed to the Modern Electrician, either on YouTube, which yours is at the Modern Electrician with some squiggly numbers. I don't know why. You guys got to fix that. You know how to fix that? I'll help you with that. And then if not, anything. Podcasts, Google, Spotify, and Apple. You guys are on it, obviously. I got you guys on Google Podcasts. You guys better go over there. If you're a 360 Electrician fan, you got to be a fan of these guys because I love them. Go see the videos, laugh, and just have a good time.
Yeah, man, that's what we're all about.
That's it, baby. That's what being an electrician is. Not a job. It's like being in Disneyland, man. Come on.
It is.
Can you imagine being a plumber? How stinky is that job?
Did you know that they have a code for over the PA system for when people are dumping urns of dead loved ones in Disney, because so many people love Disney.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that.
Bring a loved one, a deceased loved one to sprinkle them there. They're like, it's like a code 27 in progress.
Oh
they
my
actually
gosh,
have
I believe it.
Because of how much.
So are you saying? So are you saying that we have a deadly? I don't know what you're saying there, but yes, I do know they have a code.
I don't want to get sprinkled at Disney. I would be if I was being sprinkled at Disney, I would want it to only be like in the food court. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just in the.
How about in the food at the food court? All right, we're going way off, my friends. Guys, I love you. I appreciate you guys having me on. It's really exciting. I know we're going to do this again, and I'm inviting you guys to my podcast. We just started that, and so that's next. And that one,
awesome.
We'll figure it out. Awesome, man. All right. Appreciate you guys.
That sounds great. Thanks,
Jeff.
See ya.
We'll talk.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. You know we're the only channel bringing it to you for electricians that want to become electrical contractors and for electrical contractors to level up with new shirts. Totally cool stuff. We're bringing it to you. I want to teach it to you. Even if you're just an electrician and you don't know when you're going to be the contractor, hit that like, subscribe, go to our website, www.the360electrician.com. Sign up for our email list so you will always be in the know. So many incredible things coming on this channel. All right. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next one.